2024 now. We're in a whole new year. And you know what? I reckon there is so many things that needs to be left behind in 2023. We say this every year, but it just seems that for some reason we just drag shit that should really be left behind in the past into that next year. And this is fucking one of them. One of them is podcasts, all right? Now, not all podcasts, because I find some podcasts to be very funny, or some of them are just very interesting to watch. Some of them can be very informative. But these days, I personally just feel like there are way too many podcasts. Let's be honest. Like, you can't tell me that there's not. But I feel like there shouldn't be anything wrong with that, because I feel like people should just be able to do whatever they want. You know, that's fine if anyone wants to go to do whatever they want, but as long as it's not a joke. And that's where I feel like podcasts have become now, because I feel like majority of the podcasts that are out these days aren't even like funny to listen to or informative or nice and chill just to hear people have like random conversations. Some of them are an actual joke. And the number one on podcast being a joke is the Whatever Podcast. And if you don't exactly know what it is, you've 100% seen clips from this podcast. It's that podcast, and they have like a little like white table with like, usually it's a bunch of fucking girls sitting around there, awesome guys, and they don't really take the most intelligent people whenever it comes to people actually being on this podcast. Majority of the people that go on these podcasts are weirdos and fucking OnlyFans girls. Like, the dudes that go on here are real like dickheads, and the girls that go on here are usually porn stars. Like, that's literally the lineup that they get for every single fucking podcast. And I've got a clip for us today to watch, because god fucking damn it, this to me just shows, like, is a massive example of what the fuck is wrong with this podcast. Like, there is so many other examples in previously, but this one has been up for a couple days, and I wanted to talk about it because it is a fucking joke. So I'm going to show the clip first, just before, so we can get some more context, and we're gonna fucking talk about it more. And just this podcast in general, because god fucking damn it, bro. I can't stand the podcast and the people that are fucking on it.
I'm noticing
I am wearing a cross.
You're wearing a cross.
Yes.
Do you consider yourself a Christian?
I believe in God.
Let me ask you a question. Do you wear your cross while you're engaging in producing porn or OnlyFans content?
I always wear my cross.
You always wear your cross.
I never took it off.
Do you think that God approves of you doing porn, basically?
Yeah, it's not hurting anybody. I do it very safely.
Do you think God wants you making porn?
God said that he loves everyone.
Okay, I have a question. If God wants you to be a porn star, what do you think Satan wants?
To stop doing what I do, I guess? What?
Satan wants you to not do porn, and God wants you to do porn. Do I have that right?
Yeah.
I'm sorry for like the fucking stupid background music that they have on this. This is like the first clip that I found on Twitter, and I was just like, I'm just gonna roll with it, because honestly I don't really care too much. It's not really about like the quality of the clip. It's more about the context and the content of it itself. This fucking girl, obviously right here, she's an OnlyFans girl or a porn star. Fucking, to be honest, these days they're pretty much both the same thing. So I'm gonna try and like go through her thinking on this. Now, myself, I'm not a relatively religious person. I don't really practice religion. I did go to a Catholic school, like literally my whole fucking like elementary school and high school as well. I went to all Catholic schools, so I do know a decent amount when it comes to Christianity. I was brought up like in a relatively religious family. I do have relatives that are religious. You know, I have relatives that are very close to me. My father, he is a very religious man, and that's fair enough. Like, so I know a decent amount when it comes to religion, despite me not necessarily being a religious person. And I just find it absolutely fucking baffling that, like, you could definitely tell as well. It's like, not just the girl, but you could tell that he was definitely trying to push her in this direction, because the whole fucking point of this podcast, like the way that they get clicks, and even like whenever I've seen all the people talk about like this podcast, like this, literally there's a comment on this tweet where I found the video. It says, whatever podcast is so cringe, it's basically just Fresh and Fit but without comedy. I don't know what Fresh and Fit is, but I already agree with this guy. And then the guy underneath it says they're all degens. Now, I 100% agree. Not just the girl, but also the dude as well. Because you can definitely tell that he knows that this girl's not that smart. She's not that smart. Let's be fucking honest. She's not that smart. So he's trying to push her in that direction to say something just relatively stupid. Because that's how this podcast get views. This podcast doesn't even get that many views on their own channel. Like, I've gone on the whatever podcast before on their own YouTube channel, and yeah, they get a decent amount of views, but the most views that they get is from clips that get posted around Twitter and TikTok. That is what makes this podcast extremely popular, because no one really gives a fuck about the whatever podcast. People only care about the dumb fucking clips that come out of this podcast, this being fucking one of them. I can't believe this girl is like going on saying about how, like, you know, God wants me to like do whatever I want and that's why he's accepting me. But like I said, it isn't the whole thing about God like you wanting to live like a righteous life or some shit like that. Like, that's the whole point. I like I said, I'm not a religious man, but I'm pretty sure that if God had to say live a righteous life, it doesn't necessarily mean just sell your body for porn. Just use your body for porn. I seriously doubt that that's his definition of living a righteous life. And then just to add it, like when she said that, I was like, yeah, whatever, man. The fact that like, yeah, your definition of like, God is him wanting you to live however you like. You're like, yeah, God loves everyone for whoever they are. And then at the end, you can definitely tell the way that this guy was just pushing her to say something dumb. Is that like, so if God wants you to do porn, does that mean Satan wants you to stop? And the dumb face that she has at the end, that whole, yeah, like agreeing with him as well, is just like, this girl is so fucking stupid. I will give props to this girl. She's fucking good looking. Don't get me fucking wrong. She is 100% good looking. And I can see why she does porn. Like, she's got a decent, rap. But it's not even just the girls that are dumb on this podcast. I have seen even dudes that are fucking retarded that go on this podcast. Like, there are some points that some of these dudes that go on this podcast make that are absolutely fucking baffles my brain of like how this podcast is even still a thing. Like I said, this would have to be the dumbest fucking podcast that has ever existed in human history. There is no way that you can find me a dumber podcast than the whatever podcast. I remember watching Charlie's video, and I just had to quickly refresh my mind on it as well because I almost forgot about it. About some dude that was on this podcast talking about how like if someone is married, so if a woman is married to a man and it gets abusive, the woman should stick it out and still stay married to that man. Are you for real? Like, how fucking stupid and how backwards thinking are some of the people that go on this pod? Like I said, they either bring the most backwards thinking people or the dumbest motherfuckers that ever exist on this earth. They don't bring any like actual good points into a podcast. It's not funny. It's not informative. It's not interesting. All this podcast is just full of dumb fucks. They find the dumbest people that want some kind of attention, which is the majority of the reasons why that they get girls like this on the podcast. Because girls who do porn, girls who do OnlyFans, their only point to be on the internet, they just want attention. Anywhere that they can get it from, they will want to get attention. So they go on this podcast knowing that they are going to get some kind of attention. The guys that go on this podcast are just dickheads who just constantly want to remain dickheads and just want to like try to put their point and shove it down other people's throats as much as fucking possible. But goddamn, this girl is so fucking stupid and is one of the things that I wish we leave back in 2023. Please, guys, if you're watching this, don't feed into the whatever podcast. Leave the whatever podcast in 2023. We don't want it anymore. Please. I don't want to see any more of these dumb clips. I don't want my brain to lose brain cells every single time I hear one of these OnlyFans girls speak. I don't want to lose brain cells every single time I hear a dickhead dude on one of this podcast speak ever again. I want my brain cells to remain intact. And if I lose brain cells, it's because of my own fault, not because of some idiot's words on the internet. Please. There's one thing that we need to live back in last year. But let me know what you guys think about this. About not just the clip that I showed you, but also the whatever podcast in general. What do you guys think about it? That's it from me. Peace out.